Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another video on Vim. Today I'd like to talk about using Vim with a larger software project. A lot of people use Vim for documents or configuration files, so they're not really exposed to Vim as a multi-file arrangement. They just run Vim with the file name as an argument and then write it and close Vim again. So I know a lot of people just do this. They just open multiple instances of Vim and let their terminal multiplexer or their tiling window manager kind of sort it out. But I'd like to show you a better way to handle this, or at least the way I do it. You might disagree that it's better, that's fine, because this is a text editor and no one has ever had an argument about a text editor before, right? Okay, so let's increase the text size a little bit so you can see. So let's fire up Vim. If I cd into a current thing and run v. Okay, if you run Vim with no arguments, you get an empty buffer with the working directory being set to wherever you were in the shell. So from here we can open a new file using the edit command, which is :edit or just :e is fine. So we can open a file, that's great, and that pulls the new file into a new buffer. Okay, so what if I want to edit another file? Well, I can do that again, like that. But what happened to the old buffer? Because now we've got two buffers, right? Or did it just vanish or what? So if we run :buffers, we can see what's going on. So we can see that we've got two open buffers. That's great. Okay, so how do we switch between the buffers? Well, you'll notice they have numbers. We can switch to them with :b followed by the number. So I can switch back with B1 and B2. The buffer number will never change within a session. So if you've got these buffers here, you can always know which number is attached to which file. You can also switch back to what Vim calls the alternate file, which is just the last file that was edited in this window. And you can do that with Control-6. So that just switches back. That's kind of useful. We'll get to Windows in a later video, I think. So one thing you might notice is that when we switch between buffers, Vim maintains the cursor position in each one. So you can keep that context going, right? You can switch between the buffers and keep that sort of context in your head about where you were and stuff. As a quick aside, by default, Vim will not let you switch to another buffer without writing any changes you've made to the current buffer back to the file. You can change this behavior by adding setHidden to your vimrc, which enables what Vim calls hidden buffers, which are simply buffers that are loaded into memory, but not in a window, right? If you try and quit with a hidden buffer, Vim will tell you to switch to that buffer. It will tell you that you've got one, but if you give it the old Q exclamation mark to exit, it won't inform you about any other hidden buffers. So be careful with that, you could lose work. Okay, so the edit command will open files into buffers that are in your working directory. Okay, but what about things that are not directly in the working directory, but say deeper down in subfolders, which is a perfectly reasonable place to be putting your files? Here we have to use the find command, which is pretty much identical to edit, except that it will search in folders in your Vim's path variable. There are plugins that do this. You've got things like Control-P and others. But I like to limit plugins where I can, so here's how to achieve something similar with vanilla Vim. So if I open up my vimrc with leader EV, and let's have a look at the file find section here. You can see there are three commands here of note. We've got setHidden, which enables hidden buffers, which I mentioned earlier, but let's have a look at the other three. So first we enable what's called wild menu. That's the tab completion menu that you may have seen at the bottom, this fellow here. You can see that I can tab through or shift tab to cycle through the options in reverse. Then we add star star to our path. Plus equals just means add to, append to. And by adding star star, star star is a file glob, which means that any file or folder in this folder, or any file or folder in any subfolders, it's like a big catch-all basically that works through subfolders. That means that when we use find, it searches through all our working directory, which is usually a project folder or something, right? Okay, so then we have wild ignore, which does exactly what you would expect. In this case, it just adds node modules, so it ignores my node modules folder. Woe betide you if you do not do this, because node modules has enough files to cause a black hole in any reasonably sized project, and it will massively slow down your find command. So we get rid of that. Okay, so now that that is enabled, we can close my vimrc here. We can use :find to get any file within the tree. And because we've enabled the wild menu, we can also use file globbing in our find commands. So let's say I want to edit a component, but I can't quite remember what it's called. So I can try something like this: find star container, and then tab. And that will find all the files within my working directory that match that glob. And then I can just, select one and it opens it. Cool. Okay, but what if you really, really don't know the name of the file? You can't remember what it's called, but we still need to edit it. Well, then we can fall back to netrw. Netrw is the thing people install nerdtree to replace. It's a little neglected, but perfectly functional for just navigating a code base to find a file. So you can open it just by running edit on a folder. So if I do I don't know, auth, let's say. No, admin, auth, no. Let's just do dot, right, for the working directory. And then, so now we've got netrw. And it's scoped to wherever you run it. So if I ran edit admin, then it would be scoped in here like this, okay? Okay, so if I want to open a file, I can just find it, enter, there we go, and it replaces netrw. It doesn't open a new buffer, it replaces netrw in that buffer, because everything's a buffer, right? You can also rename files and delete them and stuff in netrw, but honestly, I usually use Ranger for serious file manipulation. So, but you've got some simple options if you want to. One thing I do sometimes use netrw for is creating a new file. So you can navigate to wherever you want to put it. So say I want to put it in here, and then do the %, Shift-5. It asks for a file name, and it will create the file in there and open it in netrw's buffer to start editing. If you just want to close netrw, which might sound like something difficult, you can just do run :bd. Bd just is buffer delete, I guess, which just deletes the current buffer and takes you back to wherever you were. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed skimming the surface of buffers. Next time we'll have a look at windows and splits. Thanks for watching.